Hello and welcome to Council Catch-Up here on WSTO TV. I'm your host, Derek Westby, and we're here to talk about the April 8th, 2025 City Council meeting, and I'm here with Mayor Swadley. Welcome.
Morning.
So you had your usual call to order and public comment period. You had some presentations. Anything you want to talk about with those?
Yeah, we did have a presentation from Todd Taves. He's our representative from Ellers, who's our financial consultant, and he was giving us an update on our tax incremental financing districts. And we talked a little bit about some options and some strategies we may want to pursue to strengthen those districts.
All right, and if you want to watch that presentation, you can check it out on the full video.
Yep, and we also had kind of a mini recognition. We had two alders. That was their last regular meeting, Tom Majewski and Gene Lagaki. So some of the alders took the opportunity to thank them for their service.
All right. So then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Anything notable in the consent agenda?
No, not really. We do have an opportunity to have new ownership at Fahrenheit 364. So there was a liquor license application in there, and we'll see if that deal closes.
All right. So we'll move on to old business, item number 6, Ordinance 10 of 2025, creating a student representative on the City Council.
Yeah, this is something that President Schumacher had brought up a few months ago to try to get another voice at the table, similar to what the school district does. So we put together an ordinance that would allow a junior or senior at Stoughton High School to participate in the city council members as a non-voting member, but still a seat at the table.
All right. Item number 7, Ordinance 11, comes to revising permits and permit revocations.
Yeah, so we had a few requests from the building inspector to really strengthen our processes as it relates to building inspections, re-inspections, and fees and things like that, just based on her experience in other communities. So we work to update our ordinances to put those changes in place.
All right. Ordinance 12 of 2025, also building regulations and construction standards. Same thing for that?
Yep, pretty much all inspection related.
All right. Ordinance 13 of 2025 is also fees. So we'll move on to new business number 10, Oak opening Highway 138.
Yeah, so I gave an overview of a couple of options that we're looking at out on Highway 138 as part of Kettle Park West. We've had a deed restriction on 8 lots, so basically the developer wasn't able to build on them lots until we reached a decision point on what to do with Oak opening. Under the current agreement, the developer had to extend that road to ultimately have the city extend it to Highway 138. That agreement was put into place when we only had one access leading into the development, and that was on Jackson Street. We now have 2 additional entrances into the development off of Roby and Deer Point, and also Rutland Dunn Town Line Road intersect with Oak opening. So for a public safety standpoint, we don't feel it's necessary to make that connection to Highway 138. The DOT has always had some reservations. The traffic study we had done years ago is probably outdated at this point. So we worked with the adjacent property owner to come up with a plan to basically vacate the current road that's platted, would create additional buffer area for that homeowner, as well as some additional parkland for the city on some lots that are near the pond that we feel aren't really that developable anyway. And it'll give us a better opportunity to have a trail system going around the pond and connected to the parkland that's there.
All right, that sounds amazing. So then the next item on the agenda was funding for the Juneteenth event.
Yeah, so we had a lot of discussion. Juneteenth event's been going on for several years now, and they're looking for the city to donate some money, and the city council ultimately approved a $2,000 donation for the event.
And then we had item number 12, Resolution 39 of 2025, amending the budget for ARPA carryovers.
Yeah, so the ARPA funds were awarded a few years ago now. We had until the end of 2024 to allocate the funds and the end of 2026 to spend them. And we had some projects, most notably some solar panel projects that we're in the midst of completing right now. So we weren't able to finish those last year. So we basically carry the money over to 2025 so we can complete the work.
All right. The next item on the agenda was a release of an irrevocable letter of credit for AARM Group Stoughton Properties LLC.
Yeah, so this is for Popeyes. So as part of their construction, we held a letter of credit until they met some criteria on their development, which they've done. So then we released the funds.
All right. Then we have a first reading of Ordinance 14 to amend some parking ordinance.
Yeah, so we had some neighbors that brought to our attention a situation down on East Street. Not a very wide street, it dead ends. There's been a couple instances where vehicles have backed into each other coming out of their driveways. Difficult for the snow plows and garbage trucks to get down there. All the homes that are down there have their own driveway. So the parking ordinance would go into place and require people to park in their driveway instead of on the street.
All right. Item number 15 was discussion about a vacancy of District 1.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, we received a resignation letter from DJ Payton for District 1. So we have a process that we can go through to fill that seat. So if anybody's in District 1 that would be interested in serving, you can look for a notice that'll be in the paper and online and fill out the application materials with the clerk. And then there would be an interview process, more than likely in May.
And whereabout is District 1?
District 1 is basically, I'm going to say, from Page Street at about McKinley over to the east side of Lincoln.
Okay.
So it's kind of the northeastern portion of the city of Stoughton.
And there's a map for that on the city website. So then we'll move on to Ordinance 15, a first reading related to the Committee of the Whole.
Yeah, so we had a request to kind of update the language in the Committee of the Whole to better understand what the role and purpose of the Committee of the Whole is and really some of the mechanical of how that functions. There's two ways you can have a Committee of the Whole. You can just simply notice it, which we sometimes do like during budgeting processes or if we have like a workshop, or at any time during the regular course of the meeting, the council president can call for a Committee of the Whole, and basically what happens at that point is instead of the mayor being the chairperson for the meeting, the council president would chair that portion of the meeting.
Okay. Item number 17, a conflict waiver with Boardman Clark.
Yeah, so we have these conflict waivers periodically with our attorneys or our financial consultants where we're working with another party and maybe our firm has a firm that we use also works with the other party. There's not that many out there that are in municipal government. And so we're working on the school resource officer agreement with the school district. Their attorney is Boardman Clark. We use them for a non-related item. We use them for our labor attorney. So we don't think it's really relevant, but we're still required to sign a conflict waiver.
All right, and the last item on the agenda is a discussion on Kettle Park West Phase 2 development.
Yeah, so we kind of covered that during the presentation, and the council is looking at moving forward with what we would call option 1 in that presentation.
All right, and if you want to catch up on any more of the stuff, any more detail on these items, you can check out the City Council meeting on the WSTO website and YouTube channel. That's all we have for this council catch-up. We'll see you next time.